Now it's time to take a look under the hood at some of the settings. Over here is that same exact settings button that you're going to see in Gmail, and if you click on it, you'll see that you have some of those same comfy, cozy, compact settings, as well as the settings area. And now this time there's only 4 different labels across the top. You have general, calendars, mobile setup, and labs. And actually we're probably going to majorly ignore most of mobile setup, but there's a few helpful things underneath there. This time around we're going to focus on general and calendars. General is the first tab, and it really has just a lot of personal preference kind of things in it, and you should just scroll down through this very first part and decide for yourself which of these things appropriately fit. And then you even have this default meeting length. That means that when you first create an event on the calendar, by default, how many minutes long is it going to be? It's set to 60 by Google, and you can change it to 15 is as low as you can go, and 2 hours is as long as you can make it. Then I have the week starts on and you only have 3 options here: Monday, Saturday, or Sunday. So you can't start your week in the middle of the week on like a Tuesday, unfortunately. Then there's working hours, and you can set this. This is pretty clever, actually. If you put a tick mark right here in the working hours and you have all this information put in there, you could tell people, hey, I like to sleep in until 11 o'clock in the morning, so don't even try to send me an invite outside of that time. Or you could make it more manageable, more professional, and say anything before 7 a.m. You cannot book my calendar before 7 a.m. or after 3 p.m. or whatever variation thereof that you like. Down here, event dimming. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but basically past or future recurring events just don't show up as bright in the calendar. Then you have show weekends, yes or no. Down here through the rest of this time, custom view. This is that custom view button on the outside, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here by changing custom view to, we'll go with 2 weeks. And then if I scroll down to the bottom and I hit save my preferences, you'll notice up here I have day, week, month, and now I have a 2-week button that I didn't have before, and that's that customized view portion. So now if I go back to settings, scroll down, I could change my custom view back to 3 days, which is one of my favorite. It's the compact but still manageable version right here. We have 3 days back to back, and that's that button. Like I said, seems rather manageable to me. Seems interesting and workable for me as well. Now you can show the weather or not. You can show whether or not events have been declined. Then down here a little ways, you'll see some information about automatically adding Google Plus Hangouts. If you become a Google Plus user, every time you schedule a Hangout, it automatically goes to your calendar. But that won't become necessary unless you become a Google Plus user. Alternate calendars, this is just a calendar like the Chinese traditional calendar, and some other calendars that you probably will not be using in most cases. If you have need though, obviously they're sitting right there. Last one here is the enabling keyboard shortcuts. And by default, which is converse to the Gmail version, is set to yes, all keyboard shortcuts work. That's because in calendar, they're even easier to use and they're even more powerful within this system than they are within Gmail. I recommend leaving them on, and in the very next video you're going to see what some of those shortcuts are. If you want to cheat and learn a little bit more about what the shortcuts are by yourself, hit this learn more button and it will take you to this page, and you can take a sneak peek at what we're about to take a look at. When you're all done with all your changes, I think you saw me do this already before, but don't forget to hit the save button in the bottom left corner. Otherwise, nothing will take hold. That's it for the first part of the settings. Let's go to the very next part, which is the calendar section. Now we're moving on to the mainstay of settings within Google Calendars. If you come up here to the settings button, you can go down to settings again, and the second tab over now is calendars. You can manage nearly all of the calendar settings from within here. One of the things that I want you to take special note of though is that you can manage settings of all of the calendars from this calendars dashboard right here, or you can actually manage the individual calendar settings if you click on the individual calendar names. So here's an individual calendar right here, as well as the other individual calendar I could have managed from within there. The other option, instead of going through that long passage, that long route through the settings, you can actually access all of these same exact settings from these drop down menus out here. So under my calendars right here, if I use this main drop down, I can create a new calendar, or I can go straight to settings. There I am, back to the settings. Or I can go down here to other calendars, and I have a whole slew of options now. Add coworkers, add by URL, import calendars, or go to settings. And here we are again back in the same exact place. And remember, I said that you could get to the individual calendar settings this way as well, because under each one of these calendars is its own drop down. If you click on this, you'll see that you can change the color of this fairly easily to whatever color you want. You can set up reminders and notifications. You can share this calendar straight from that drop down, or you can actually go to calendar settings right there in the drop down area. And this brings me to that deeper settings within this calendar settings inside of settings. And so now we're drilled way down in here into the settings. What we're going to do is we're going to manage calendar settings, back out, manage wholesale calendar settings in general, and then we will take a look around the rest of the settings. So you can add a description, you can see, you can also rename your calendar from right here. You can even see who the owners of the calendar might be, actually, because if people start sharing calendars with you, it may get a little complex or complicated about who's the owner. Then also right here, if you want to ever embed your calendar in a Google site, a different website, a wiki space of any sort, you can actually grab this, what's called an embed code here, and copy and paste that coding into an HTML area on a website or something like that if you desire. You can also have people subscribe to your calendars using some of this XML or these live feed data right down here. But for all intents and purposes, most of you will probably not mess with these deep down calendar settings very often. I'm going to hit save so that it takes me back to my calendar here, and I'm going to take that shortcut from the My Calendar dropdown just back to the generic settings. Generic settings is where you can set up who has access to your calendar. You can even unsubscribe from a calendar you may have created or delete it, or you can unsubscribe from calendars that might be public calendars underneath the other section that you are actually using. And so now here are the reminders and notifications. This has to do with what do you want to be notified for? And if you click on this, you're going to see you can set up your cell phone actually right here, this SMS information. You can receive text messages anytime new events or canceled events are actually managed in your calendar. But you can also see that you can receive the same exact information via email as well. And now when they're saying that they're going to notify you whenever events take place, this is when someone else actually does the manipulation on your calendar. So you're not going to receive an email every single time a new event happens in your calendar. It's if you have been sent an invitation by someone else, that's when you're going to receive an email telling you. Or if someone else changes an event in your calendar, that's when you're going to receive the email. You can also decide whether or not you want event reminders to pop up every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes. You can also decide whether you want it to be a pop-up on your computer or just an email. That's really your preference, and that's how you should manage those things. I'm going to hit save now. You can do that on each of the individual calendars that you create. You can set up those reminders and notifications. And finally, in the same area, like I said, you can manage the sharing of your calendar. So if you want to share your calendar outside of the general area of your organization, you come in here. And even if you do want to share it inside of your organization, but we're going to move from bottom up and show outside organization first. So if it's my dear Aunt Sally or my best buddy John, I can type in their individual email address in here. So I could type in my Joseph Dufour at WLC, click on that, and I can let Joseph Dufour actually share my calendar. And I'm even able to give one of two options down here. I can say see all events, or just see when I'm free or when I'm busy. And that would suffice right there. I can obviously at any time delete this if I'd like. Or if you're part of an institution like a Google Apps for Education, school, or school district, or a business, you can also manage share settings wholesale. You can decide whether or not you want to make your calendar public to anyone inside of your organization. You do so just by clicking this button right here. If you do, you can still say, I only want people to see when I'm free or busy. If you really want to blow your calendar wide open, you can click this button and make the calendar completely public to everyone. But these are all your preferences. I'm going to hit save here and jump back out one more time and show you the listings down here for the other calendars. You can see that I just for fun added the Chicago White Sox calendar because I was going through and seeing how you can add baseball calendars, and I'm about to show you that same exact thing in 1 second. Where I'm about to go, you can get to with this same exact button right here, the Browse Interesting Calendars section. But I'm actually going to get completely out of here by hitting back up from calendars and show you the quickest way to actually do this. You can do this through the other calendars drop down. If you do that, you see that same exact string is right here, Browse Interesting Calendars. I come in here and you can pick whatever you want here. You can even look for sunrise and sunset times for your local area. You can even look for phases of the moon or sports teams that you might be interested in. And once you find those, then you just click on them and you hit subscribe, or you can certainly preview it ahead of time if you'd like. When you're all done, it automatically adds itself as a calendar like my White Sox calendar did down here. At any time, obviously, you can click the drop down and you could choose to delete this or remove this or do whatever you want with this calendar, including recode it in color or send it to a coworker. The very last thing that I want to go over with you in this video has to do with what else you can do with your calendar, other calendars right here. If you are interested in latching onto someone else's calendar but you don't seem to have access to it right now, you can request access to it either by typing in their address right in this text field right here, or you can actually use the drop down and say add a coworker right here, and you can type in their email address and then you hit add, and it's going to populate, and Google even gives you a string of text here as a suggestion of what to send them. But this is going to send an email to this person saying, hey, I want to request that I can see your calendar. So you send that invite, and then that facilitates that whole process of linking their calendar with yours. That is realistically almost all of the settings within the Google Calendar settings and information section. If you can master all of those settings, you'll be very happy with the way you can get Google Calendars to work for you.